And now, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananji commences tonight's satsang with a Sanskrit peace chant.
Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We begin with mystic song by Sri Swami Lalitananda, played and sung by Sri Swami Umananda and Rajneesh.
Our song tonight is based on a poem by Swamiji. It's called O Thou Divine Wisdom. O Thou Divine Wisdom, the sacred light of my soul, speak to me, come to me. You shine in the radiant sun and ride on the soft whisper of the early morning breeze. Your melody sings in the gentle rays that falls on the flowers of spring. O thou divine wisdom, the sacred light of my soul, speak to me, come to me. You are the tender stream of eternal love, flowing through my heart. O thou, the abode of endless peace, unto thee I surrender my soul. Like a river merging in the sea, forever and for eternity. O thou divine wisdom, the sacred light of my soul, speak to me, come to me. We are recording from the ashram of our revered Guru, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananji in Miami, Florida. Today is June the 29th, 2018, Friday evening, and tonight Swamiji will be lecturing on the Tulsi Ramayana. This is series 2016, class number 111. And now, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananji.
Om Nilambuja Shyamal Komalangam Sita Samaropita Vamabhagam Panavu Maha Sayakacharu Chapam Namami Ramam Raghuvanshanatham. Eruditions to Lord Rama, whose complexion is like a blue lotus, very tender and delightful in appearance. Sita is seated on his left side, carrying powerful bow and arrow in his hands. Sri Ramcharitmanas, Balakanda, Doha number 281. Presently, Sage Parashuram has appeared in the assembly where Rama had broken the Shiva's bow. And there was so much agitation among the kings who had come to marry Sita, but they didn't succeed. They could not move the bow, much less they could break it. So they were all not accepting their defeat, but looking at their muscles and threatening Janaka, and who has created all the plan of Sita's marriage. They are showing their might, that they will somehow subjugate Rama and Sita. They will take away Sita by force. There were good people, there were lots of negative people. Both, they were expressing their opinions. While that was going on, Parashuram appears, Sage Lord Parashuram. It's one of the avatars. Parashu means axe. He holds always an axe on his shoulder. And he is very embodiment of immense power. I have already given you some insight. The profounder level, subtle insight. This is the goal of life. The soul must break the pull of worldliness, the pull of the world process. World is pulling your soul to be confined to the cycle of birth and death. And the cycle of birth and death is a terrible predicament. Try to understand that point. Someone gives you the idea that, well, you didn't accomplish everything in this life. Repeat these mantras. If you go on living, you will gain the object of your desire. If you don't, next birth you will have all that you want. And people fall for it. Because they don't realize every birth will be the same. Same process. You come into the world as a baby. You grow. Changes occur in your personality until hair begins to turn grey, then you age. And then finally, vinashyati. You enter to grave or you are cremated. So no matter how successful you are in the world, all this is what you are going to get. So this is a big pull for the soul being drawn to this type of temptation, to the world process. In order to attain liberation, you have to neutralize this pull. Neutralizing this pull is called breaking Shiva's bow. So the storyline, it has been presented as a bow, which no one was able to break. But Lord Rama broke it. As another point, when you break this bow, when your soul has developed a profound movement towards liberation, now the soul joins with Viveka Buddhi, intuitive intellect. So intuitive intellect is Sita. And in a storyline, she is goddess Lakshmi and Rama is Vishnu, and their relation is eternal. And philosophical line, Viveka Buddhi is a ray of your innermost self. But that's coming to a very high level. Viveka Buddhi is the guiding light, leading the soul to discover its strength. Sita becomes the basis for Rama to destroy all the demons. So this marrying Sita is coming in conjunction, in union with the process of intuitive knowledge. And this process is not simple development. It's not like they got married, now they live happily ever after. You found your intuitive knowledge, and now you live happily ever after. No, now you have to see the strength of your soul and discover what you are essentially. By removing 3 types of impediments, gross impurities, malas, subtle impurities created by your mental complexes, called vasanas, they call vikshepa, distractions. And finally, the veil of illusion called ignorance, avidya. Avidya, ignorance, is in Ramayana, Ravana. Ravana, who enfolds within himself 10 heads, vikshepa, and mala, you see, all 3 together. And all his army and relatives, etc., they are different forces of darkness, forces of ignorance. That story will gradually come to that stage. Right now, what's being highlighted, what should be the characteristic in a person who will succeed in breaking Shiva's bow. Rama is the illustration. Rama can break the bow, but who is this Rama? Who can put Rama to test? Parashurama, another level of avatar. But in the test process, Parashurama comes as a agitated personality. But this is a testing process. In a storyline, it is a shocking process. But the real meaning behind it, Parashurama has come to bring out the glory of Rama. Who is this Rama? He looks like a just young man, tender. He should be in cozy comfort in the palace. but that is not really so. He possesses a type of strength that all people there are unable to possess. The strength of spiritual humility, the strength of love for all, the strength of self-effacement. That strength versus a strength that allows you to improve in your daily life and change your karmas from bad to good and from good to better. So that type of strength is characterized by Parshuram. And that strength must give way to Ram. And there is a difference between these two stages, and profound spiritual significance has to be understood. Keeping in that with that view, and we continue. Balakanda, Doha number 281. Lakshmana displayed his valor through his sharp words against Parshuram. And Parshuram has become extremely agitated because Lakshmana went on saying, what are you so worried about for breaking a little old bow? We have broken so many bows, even when we were babies. We were supposed to be a great sage. We were attached to the little bow. It's a satirical way to present that if you have attained all greatness in your progress, but if you have not broken the pull to world process, in spite of attaining all that, you are bound to come back into another embodiment. This is a terrible thing. It's not a fascinating thing to come back again, become a baby. And go through all that. So breaking this type of illusion, that's done by Rama. Now, when Lakshmana challenged all and stirred up Parshuram to a very great level, then Rama comes forth and he says, Rama kaheu risa tajiya munisha karakutharu ageya sisa. He expresses his humility. O sage, give up this agitation. You have in your hand this big axe, and here is my head right in front of you. Do everything possible to get rid of this big agitation. This is a fire burning you. Quench it. And I am your slave. I'm pleading. Pleading for what? To free himself of his own misery. Start seeing Rama's role. How can there be a battle between Lord, you are Lord, I am just a das. O best among Brahmins, so says satire, reminding him he should not be so much with his acts. He's a Brahmin. So best among Brahmins, give up this rose. Rose is anger, agitation. You have to understand the difference between rasa and rose. Ras is kind of, mind becomes entertained as if you are drinking something very fascinating. The wrong type of fascination called Vishaya ras. You are fascinated to follow the spiritual path, then it is bhakti ras, prema ras. Humorously, I say from am ras to rab ras. And when that rasa is not there with your mind, then becomes rose. Mind becomes agitated. Lakshmana, who is just a boy, seeing you that you are a Brahmin and holding axe, etc., he couldn't understand you. So therefore he said some things. Ignore it, just children's curiosity about you. The child comes to you and says, you look like a monkey. You don't go after a child. You become amused. देखी कुठार बान धनुधारी भय लड़ी कहीं ऋषवीरु विचारी नाम जान पाए तुम्हें न चिन्हा वंश सुभाए उतरु तहीं दिन्हा. Okay, little suspense. Seeing you holding axe, bow and arrow, and your dress is like Brahmin's dress. Lakshmana, you is just a boy. Holding you as a warrior. He spoke similar language, a heroic language, to amuse you. Birds of the same feather flock together. They talk together. So, you are a warrior and he is a warrior. You awakened in him his heroic sentiment. नाम जान पाए तुम्हें न चिन्हा. He knows your name, Parashuram, but he didn't recognize all your personality. And at the same time, Rama belongs to solar line, and that's a nature of any person who belongs to Surya Vansha, the solar line, not to hide anything in the heart. speak up the truth. So that was his nature, Bans Subhav. If you go very deep into it, you must realize, whenever we say solar line, it refers to Uttarayana. If you are following Agni, Vairagya, Yoti, Vivek Buddhi, discriminative intellect, aha, living your daily life with the spirit of karma yoga. If you do that, it opens your heart to purified feeling called bhavana, bhava shuddhi, described allegorically in the Gita as the moon, waxing moon. And that leads you to progressive expansion of consciousness. You go through ascending steps of samadhi until the soul becomes completely merged in the light of lights, the absolute self. If you are in that, following that process, then you are of solar line. But again, everything has a different context. Krishna comes in lunar line. There the moon has a different implication. The moon, bhavana, when it begins to purify, it begins to brings out the experience of immense joy. So Rama avatar moves on to half of the Uttarayana. Krishna completes it, the next half. So Rama is Surya Vansha. Surya Vansha opens the door for Ananda, bliss, Bhavana. And from Bhavana movement, Rasa Leela, Krishna, and all that is wonderful melody, music, Bansuri, all that becomes the Chandra Vansha. Krishna and Surya and Chandra Vansha, they become whole picture. But having given you that, in normal, when they talk about Uttarayana and Dakshinayana, they again use the same word Chandra, moon. But here moon relates to illusory happiness. The normal geographical moon, which doesn't have its own light, false light. So if you don't follow, don't break Shiva's bow and follow that Uttara, if you don't do that, then you follow Dakshinayana. Dakshinayana lands you on the moon. You don't have all the facilities of the world, see, on the moon. I'm joking. There it is described. Dhumo Ratri. You go through smoky atmosphere. You enter into night, dark night. Stripped of Vivek, Vairagya, and you gradually begin to lose that moon within your heart. It wanes. You follow a whole process of darkness and then ultimately end up with an illusory state led by your karma. So led by your karma, your good karma will now decide where you will go. You will have good situation, but it's perishable. So all this I talked to you about the word Bans Subhai. जो तुम्हें औते हु मुनि की नाई पदरजस सिर सिसु धरत गोसाई. If you had come here as just Brahmin, not with all the acts, etc., just with a kamandalu, little water in it, then Lakshmana would have just touched your feet and placed the dust of your feet on his head, reverential. क्षमहु चूक अनजानत केरी चाहिए विप्रउर कृपा घनेरी. If someone does things not knowing, in ignorance, the great men must forgive that. And you are a Brahmin, and your heart should have more kripa, kindness, compassion. हम ही तुम ही सरी बरी कसीना था कहूँ न कहाँ चरण कहाँ माथा. How can we compare with each other? How can feet compare with the head? Here again, in saying, it seems like Rama shows complete littleness about himself. He is very little. He is just a feet. And Parshurama is his head. But at the same time, there is a satire. If you have all head and no feet, you go nowhere. If you are all theory and no practice, you go nowhere. Rama matra lagu naam hamara Parasu sahit bada naam tumhara. My name is only Ram. Your name Parashuram. But how can we compare with each other? One movement is Sage, spontaneous. That's Rama movement. That's the advanced movement in spirituality. It's like a tree growing. When it grows, without problem, it begins to bring out buds, blossoms. All goes on, even when the whole forest is sleeping in silence. The buds are blossoming. They do a little tick-tick sound. Advanced stage of spiritual movement has Sage movement. You simply do go on doing your sadhana, develop, continue to be led by devotion, surrender to God. So don't let your mind work too hard. Why this, why that? Surrender, God's will. All that you know, that his finger is right there and not holding it. And then your life becomes decked with miracles. Just like the tree gets decked with flowers and blossoms and then fruits begin to come out. Automatically happens. Or take it another illustration. You cut a piece of tree or a pine tree or whatever on Christmas Day, deck it with all types of lights, make it as beautiful as you can. But it is not normal. One day you have to throw it all away. was realized. When I'm talking, I'm not underestimating any ritual. It's its own value. But to make you understand the difference between bringing changes in your life by karmas and bringing change, moving towards internal revelation of the self. One, you are creating things. Another, you are allowing the self to be revealed. You are not creating it, just removing illusions. Two levels of sadhana. Rama level is the higher level, natural, sahaj. Sahaj movement enables you to discover that you are not a miserable personality, but you have immense peace, and all the divine qualities are hidden within you, and you have to simply remove the obstacles and they will come up. You don't cultivate them. Goodness is not cultivated. It is revealed. Every soul is basically, intrinsically good. How good they look when the baby looks at the mother's eyes. Who taught the baby? Goodness is a normal thing. Intrinsic. So, that's the difference that needs to be understood, and it takes its own course. And that's what makes two types of path. Path of pravritti, where you follow, improve your good karmas, enter household life, do various duties, be directed by acharyas and many things, all the rituals, etc. The second stage, you don't give up the first stage. Second stage, you come into another level. While doing all this according to your character, nature, according to your possibility, your bigger focus is your internal movement. Internal movement of understanding, of developing profound feeling. So the first level is characterized by Parshurama type of movement. Parshurama is the source of energy behind the first movement. Whenever he sees Rajasic tendency rising, he cuts it down by a spiritual strength. You have an axe in your hand, as it were. Any trouble coming, nip it in the bud. But another trouble will come up. देव एक गुण धनुष हमारे, नव गुण परम पुनीत तुम्हारे. O Lord, I have only one quality, my bow. You have 9 qualities. I will explain that. In the storyline, Parshurama is wearing threads, and they are 9 in number, 9 threads. Rama is having only one bow. Rama's one quality is Brahmakara vritti, allowing the mind to flow towards Brahman. Brahman alone is real. Parshuram's has 9 threads, They represent 9 virtuous qualities. Those qualities you develop by removing rajas. You go on developing various qualities as you go on removing rajas. And what are they? Shama. Shama is serenity of mind. Dhamma, control of senses. Tapa, practice of austerity. Shauch, purity. Kshama, forgiveness. Saralata or arjava, being straightforward. Mind, manasa, vacha, karmana. Mind, speech, and action. All 3 should be in harmony. Gyan doesn't refer to the absolute Gyan, but to have knowledge of the scriptures. Vigyan, whatever you know, you must be able to practice it. And astikya, be always a believer. Don't end up with your mind with misbelief. If you have these qualities, they help you. You are growing in the world. Until you come to a stage where full of the world will be broken. But while you are growing, Parashuram's law works. Watch over your vasanas. As rajas develops, bring your axe. Don't be taxed. बार बार मुनि विप्रवर कहा राम सन राम, बोले भृगुपति सरुष हसी, तहु तहु बंधु समबाम. Rama, with all humility, starts saying all these things. Parashuram became agitated. And he said, you are not any better than your brother. You are as perverse as your brother. निपटहि द्विज करि जानहि मोहि, मैं जस विप्र सुनावहु तोहि, चाप श्रुवासर आहुति जानू, कोपु मोर अति क्रोध कृसानु. You consider me an ordinary Brahmin? Listen what type of Brahmin I am. My bow is a sacrificial ladle. It describes the whole yajna process with all the things he's wearing, yajna personification. Bow is the ladle. Arrows are oblations. My wrath is a fire. And Chaturangini Sena, fourfold forces, are the fuel. All these Kshatriyas come with fourfold forces, and they are destroyed by the fire of Parashuram. Now, We give you the mystical meaning of Chaturangini Sena. Chaturangini Sena means four-fold army. Hathi, elephants. Ghora, ghore, horses. Rath, chariots. Padal, foot soldiers. So easily said. But what it implies? Hathi implies feeling aspect. If it is in divine Chaturangini, then Hathi means bhakti, devotion. Ghora means mind under control, meditation, dhyana. Ratha means jnana, soul using the whole personality for attaining liberation. And padal means karma yoga. When these four aspected yoga enters, you have Chaturangini Sena. If all the four are moving in a negative way, then that also is Chaturangini Sena of Ravana and of demons. But you have to have divine Chaturangini Sena. Parshuram's Chaturangini Sena is divine. Sabdhi sen chaturanga suhai, mahamahip bhaye pasu ai. Rajasic forces are sacrificial animals. All the kings that are described, he killed them. Those are Rajasic forces. Rajasic forces that oppose bhakti, jnana, karma, and dhyana. मैं यहीं परसु काटे बलि दीन्हे. I have cut down all those kings with their Chaturangini Sena, with all those armies. Samara jagnya japakot in hakin. And I have done million times. With all and along with it, japa. Swaha, swaha, swaha. And Vedic mantras. मोर प्रभाव विदित नहीं तोरे, बोलसी निधरि विप्र के भोरे. You are not aware of my glory. You are considering me like poor Brahmin, humble Brahmin. भंजेउ चापु दापु बड़ बाढ़ा, अहमिति मनहु जीति जगु ठाढ़ा. You broke the bow, and your ego has gone to the sky. You think you have conquered the whole world. Rama kaha muni kahu vichari, risi ati badi laguchu kaha mari. Rama said, "O sage, please think over it. Your anger is too exaggerated. My error is very little. I just touched the old bow and it broke. how can I develop the ego? I have broken a bow. You break a little mushroom. And you don't declare I have broken a mountain. To Rama, breaking this whole thing is little, like a flower. That's what happens. That stage of strength comes within every soul to move away from the pull of the world process in a very soft way, sahaj. So there is no pride, I have broken the bow. Behold, I have awakened Kundalini. जो हम निज रही विप्रबदि सत्य सुनहु भृगुनाथ तो अस को जग सुभटु जहि भय बसना वही मात. He says, oh Bhrigunath, oh Parashuram, Lord Parashuram, if by saying Brahmin I'm not disrespecting you, in other words, to Parashuram's mind, being recognized as a Brahmin is inferior, is insulting his strength. Rama says, I'm not insulting you. The truth is there any warrior in this entire world before whom I should bow down? Abhayam. There is no fear against anything. There is no strength that I can bow down to it. There is no need for me. But bowing down to you is based upon the glory of Brahman. It is not to insult you. This is a very mixed up psychology to understand. Just all that simply implies that there is a level of sadhana where the idea, let me be a Brahmin, that idea is passive. It discourages your purushartha. But there is another level where being a Brahmin, you are the greatest. You are the follower or following the path of Brahman. So from the level of deluded Brahmin, hypocritical Brahmin, from the level of hypocrisy to the level of reality, there is a big difference. देवदनुज भूपति भट्ट नाना समबल अधिक हो बलवाना जौ रन हम ही पचारें को लड़ही सुखेन कालु किन हो. Whoever challenges me a real Kshatriya from a solar race. Whoever, he defines whoever, that personality may be a god, a devata, daitya, a demon, a great king, a great warrior, person of immense strength, no matter who, whoever challenges me, even if that personality be death, the spirit of death itself, Rama will never bow down. Rama will face the challenge. क्षत्रिय तनु धरि समर सकाना, कुल कलंक तहि पावर आना, कहूँ सुभाव न कुलहि प्रशंसी, कालहु डरहि न रन रघुबंसी. Being a Kshatriya, if one is afraid in battle to fight against enemy, then that's not a Kshatriya. He's Kula Kalank. He's a blemish in the line of Kshatriya. But let me give you deeper meaning. Kshatriya, he doesn't refer to caste system, the warrior class, that's how the India interprets it. It relates to a sincere aspirant. A sincere aspirant is like a warrior. Yuddha term is yuddha. Unite yourself with dharma. As long as you are not pursuing dharma, you are just slipping on the path and going in the wrong way. But develop that strength to be united to dharma in order to pursue dharma and move away from adharma. Pursue righteousness. Move away from all that is unrighteous. And this battle, what does it do? It protects three aspects of your consciousness. Kshatriya. Kshat protects. Triya, Triputi. Three aspects. You live in the world. First aspect, you feel I am the subject. But your understanding of your I am is very poor. If you are a Kshatriya, you will not take it for granted what others say of you. But you develop self-confidence, a self-exploration, who am I? And recognizing higher and higher, ultimately moving towards realizing the self. Similarly, do not take the world as granted, because what you are experiencing of the world is based upon the state of your mind. You are never seeing the world as it is. You are a Kshatriya, you remove those obstacles that do not allow you to see things as they are. So one aspect, you are correcting your subjective nature. Another aspect, the field of your experience, the world. Another aspect, the experiences that come, pleasure and pain. Don't interpret it from ego's point of view. Every pain comes, and if ego interprets, someone gave me that pain. And so until I revenge on that person, I will not be happy. I'm joking, we are giving you one aspect. There are a lot of way to understand it. When all these three become aligned to a spiritual movement, then the Kshatriya movement. And the soul will not stop this effort in this. Better to die in fighting than to be defeated. Because if you die in fighting, you will be born with all the spiritual qualities you have developed, they are not going to be lost. And you will move on to a higher level. The goal is, don't wait, accomplish it during this very life. But your mind questions, suppose I don't develop that. You are not losing what you have gained. In karmic process, you lose. You gained $1 billion. Next embodiment, you can't claim anything. And with this, I'm concluding now. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.
If you have a question for Swamiji, please raise your hand. And then Radhika will bring you the mic.
It's okay.
The weekend is here. Tomorrow is Saturday. Come for pranayama at 7 and guided meditation with Swamiji at 7:30. Sunday, we continue with the study of the Gita and have a delicious feast to eat during the program. Tuesday and Wednesday, Swamiji lectures on Yoga Vasishta at 7:30. And Friday, Swamiji lectures on the Ramayana, Saint Tulsidas ji. On Thursday, there's a discussion group at 6, usually from 6 to about 7:15 or so. They're discussing the art of positive thinking. So all are invited that want to join in and share your ideas. That's 6 p.m. on Thursday. And as soon as you enjoy your prasad, come and get Kumkum blessing from Swamiji. Remember Guru Purnima, July 22nd, Sunday at 5 p.m. Feel free to come forward.